Today we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked parts of any D&D character sheet, but it's something that, in 2024, has become incredibly powerful. We're talking about the story of who you were before you became a hero. We're talking about your background.
So let me ask you a question. Just think back to the last character you created. When you got to that background section on your sheet, did you really think about it? Did you pick something that felt essential to who they were?
Or, and hey, let's be totally honest with ourselves, did you just kind of scan the list for whatever gave you perception, check the box, and just move on so you could start playing? Come on, we've all done it. But that whole approach, it's about to change in a huge way.
Because here's the thing, and it's a big one. Your background is not just some little footnote at the bottom of the page anymore.
It's not just a bit of optional flavor text you throw in there to make your character sheet look a little more filled out. No, it is the absolute heart of your origin story. It's who you were before you ever picked up that sword, before you learned that first spell. It's your past. And with the 2024 rules, your past now has some very real power.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, we got to take a quick look back at how things used to be, right? For years, backgrounds were, well, they were kind of limited.
You know, in the old 5th edition rules, your background was basically this neat little package. You got a couple of skills, maybe a tool proficiency, some starting gear, and one small, usually pretty situational feature. It was a nice little appetizer for sure, but it was never the main course. But here's the thing. The really savvy dungeon masters, they always saw the potential hidden there. That little feature, like a noble being able to demand shelter or a sailor finding easy passage on a ship, that wasn't just a tiny bonus. It was a door. And a clever DM knew that every single one of those doors could open up a whole new path for the story.
So now, fast forward to today. The 2024 rules take that idea of a narrative door, and they don't just open it, they turn it into the entire foundation that your character is built on. I mean, the change is just night and day. What used to be flavor is now your core mechanical foundation. Your background doesn't just give you a couple of skills anymore, it determines your ability score bonuses. And instead of some tiny situational feature, you now get a full-on starting feat. This is a massive shift, tying who you are directly to how you play.
And here's the most important part, the thing you really need to get. You're not just strong because you picked the fighter class. No, you're strong because your past was as a soldier or a gladiator. You're not smart just because you're a wizard. You're smart because you spent your early life as a sage or an investigator.
Your power is now literally rooted in where you came from. And that one simple design choice, well, it changes absolutely everything about how we make and play our characters.
All right, let's make this feel a bit more real. I want to show you exactly how this plays out with a super simple example.
So imagine two warriors. They're both fighters, but one has the noble background and the other grew up as an urchin. The noble warrior, they understand politics, etiquette, the subtle games of power played in high court. The urchin warrior, they know the back alleys, the whispered secrets, the brutal reality of survival. We're talking same class, same armor, same sword, but two totally different souls who are going to solve their problems in completely different ways.
And this is why we've got to stop thinking about backgrounds as just simple labels. You know, a hermit didn't just decide to live alone one day. No, they saw something, a terrifying vision, a hidden truth that forced them into isolation. A criminal wasn't just born bad. They were probably pushed into that life by hunger, or desperation, or maybe even betrayal.
So listen, if your character ever feels a little flat, the answer isn't buried in your stats or your class features. It's in the past that you probably forgot to think about. A really good background, it should almost haunt your character, popping up when you least expect it, and adding this incredible depth to how you play.
Okay, now I want to talk directly to all the dungeon masters out there. Huddle up, because for you, this whole shift is maybe even more important. Your players' backgrounds are an absolute gift. You have got to forget thinking about backgrounds as just flavor. They're not. They are loaded crossbows, and they're just waiting for you to fire plot hooks right into the heart of your campaign.
I mean, everything you could ever want is handed to you on a silver platter. That player with the criminal background? Oh yeah, they've got an old rival out there somewhere. The noble? You better believe there's a family secret just waiting to be exposed. The soldier? They are haunted by a broken oath from a war long past. You don't have to make up reasons for your players to care about the story. Their past gives you everything you need.
And this is when the magic happens at the table. It's that moment when the former noble in the party sees their old family crest on an enemy's flag,
or the ex-criminal hears a name from their past whispered in a dark tavern. That's when a player stops just playing a game and starts living a story. That's how you make memories.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The person your character was before the adventure started never really goes away. All their fears, their hopes, their mistakes, that all still lives inside the hero that they're trying to become. And now, finally, the rules of the game reflect that truth.
So I'll ask you again, that question from the beginning. Think about your own games, the characters you've played. Has your background ever been more than just a couple of skills? Has your past ever come back to truly define your future? I'd love to hear your story.
Look, this is just scratching the surface. In our next explainer, we're going to dig into the real nitty-gritty, the new mechanics for things like investigation and social encounters. Until then, just remember, the most powerful hero isn't the one with the best stats. It's the one with the most interesting past.